Jai Guruji, Om Sai Ram. Today we're reading chapter 11 and 12 of the Sai Satcharitra. Let us take a moment before we begin to invite God to fill us with His grace, with concentration, focus, determination, and so that we can absorb the messages and the wisdom in these chapters. Let's take a few minutes. Chapter 9. Sai as Sabun Brahman. Brahma. There are two aspects of God or Brahma, the unmanifested Nirgun and the manifested Sabun. The Nirgun is formless while the Sabun is with form, though both denote the same Brahma. Some prefer to worship the former, some the latter. As stated in the Gita, chapter 13, the worship of the latter is easy and preferable. As man has got a form, body, senses, etc., it is natural and easy for him to worship the God with form. Our love and devotion do not develop unless we worship the Sabun Brahman for a certain period of time, and as we advance, it leads us to the worship and meditation of the Nirgun Brahma. So let us start with the Sabun worship. Image, altar, fire, light, sun, water, Brahma are the 7 objects of worship. But Sadguru is better than all these. Let us, on this occasion, bring to our mind the form of Sai, who was non-attachment incarnate and who was a resting place for his devotees. Our faith in his words is the asan, and our sankalp is the abandonment of all our desires. Some say that Sai was a Bhagavad Bhakt. Others say that he was a Mahabhakt. But to us, he is God incarnate. He was ever forgiving, never irritable, straight, soft, tolerant, and content beyond comparison. Though he looked embodied, he was really disembodied, emotionless, unattached, and internally free. The Ganga, on its way to the sea, cools and refreshes the creatures affected with the heat, gives life to crops and trees, and quenches the thirst of many. Similarly, saints like Sai, while they live their own, give solace and comfort to all. Lord Krishna had said that the saint is my soul, my living image. I am he, or he is my pure form. This indescribable Shakti or power of God, known as pure existence, knowledge and bliss, incarnated in the form of Sai of Shirdi. The Shruti describes Brahma as pure bliss. This we read or hear in books daily, but the devout people experience this Brahm or bliss in Shirdi. Baba, the support of all, required no prop or asan from anybody. He always used a piece of sackcloth for his seat, which was covered with a small mattress by his bhakts, and a bolster placed by them was his rest at his back. Baba respected the feelings of his devotees and allowed them to worship him as they liked. Some waved chavar or fans before him, some played musical instruments, some washed his hands and feet, some applied scent and chandan, some gave him betel nut with leaves, others offered nevedya. Though he looked like living in Shirdi, he was present everywhere. This all-pervasiveness of his was daily experienced by his devotees. A humble prostration to this all-pervasive Sadguru. Dr. Pandit's worship. One Dr. Pandit, a friend of Tatya Sahib Nulkar, once came to Shirdi for Sai Baba's darshan. After saluting Baba, he sat in the masjid for some time. Baba asked him to go to Dada Bhat Kelkar. He went to Dada Bhat, by whom he was well received. Then Dada Bhat left his house for puja and Dr. Pandit accompanied him. Dada Bhat worshipped Baba. Nobody until then dared to apply sandal paste on Baba's forehead. Only Mahalsapati used to apply it to his neck. But this simple-hearted Dr. Pandit took Dadabhat's dish containing puja materials and taking sandal paste out of it, drew a tripund, which is three horizontal lines on Baba's forehead. To the surprise of all, Baba kept silent, not uttering a single word. Then Dadabhat that evening asked Baba, "How is it that though you object to the sandal paste being applied by others to your forehead, you allow Dr. Pandit to do so?" Baba replied that Dr. Pandit believed him to be the same as his guru, Raghunath Maharaj of Dhopeshwar, known as Kaka Puranik, and he applied the paste to his forehead as he was doing to his guru. Hence, he could not object. On inquiry, Dr. Pandit told Dadabhat that he took Baba as his guru, Kaka Puranik, and realized him as the same. Hence, he marked the tripund on Baba's forehead as he did on his guru's. Though Baba allowed the devotee to worship him as they pleased, still sometimes he acted in a strange way. Sometimes he threw away the puja dish and was wrath incarnate. Then who could approach him? Sometimes he scolded the devotees. At times he looked softer than wax, a statue of peace and forgiveness. Though he seemed to shake with anger and his red eyes rolled out, he still, internally, was an ocean of affection and motherly love. He would call out his devotees and say that he never knew when he was ever angry with them. If it was possible that mothers could kick their children and the sea turn back the river, he too could neglect the devotees' welfare. That he, the slave of his devotees, always stood by them and responded to them whenever they called upon him, and that he always longed for their love. Haji Siddiq Falke. There was no knowing as to when Baba would accept a devotee. That depended on his will. Siddiq Falke's story is to this point. One Mohammedan gentleman by name Siddiq Falke of Kalyan, after making pilgrimage to Mecca and Medina, came to Shirdi. He lived in the Chawri facing north and sat in the open courtyard of the masjid. For 9 months, Baba ignored him and did not allow him to step into the masjid. Falke felt disconsolate and did not know what to do. Somebody advised him not to be disappointed but to try to approach Baba through Shama, a close and intimate devotee of Baba. He told him that as they approached the Lord Shiva through his servant and devotee Nandi, so should Baba be approached through Shama. Falke liked the idea and implored Shama to intercede for him. Shama agreed and on a convenient occasion spoke to Baba about him thus. "Baba, why don't you allow the old Haji to step into the masjid while so many persons come freely and go? After taking your darshan, why not bless him once?" Baba replied, "Shama, you are immature to understand things. If the fakir does not allow, what can I do? Without his grace, who will climb into the masjid? Well, go to him and ask him whether he will come to the narrow footpath near the Barvi well." Shama went and returned with an affirmative answer. Again Baba said to Sharma, "Ask me whether he is willing to pay me the sum of 40,000 rupees in 4 installments." Baba went and returned with the answer that he was willing to pay even 40 lakhs. Again Baba said to Shama, "We are going to cut a goat in the masjid, so ask him whether he would like to have its meat haunch or testicles of the goat." Shama returned with the answer that the Haji would be happy to receive a small crumb from Baba's kolamba, which is his mud pot. Hearing this, Baba got excited and with his hands threw away the earthen jars and kolamba and straightway advanced to the Haji and lifting his kafni up, he said, "Why do you brag and pose yourself as an old Haji? Do you read the Quran like this? You are proud of your pilgrimage to Makkah, but you do not know me." Being thus scolded, the Haji was confounded. Baba then went back to the masjid, purchased a basket of mangoes and sent them to the Haji. Then again Baba went to the masjid and taking out 55 rupees from his pocket, gave them in the Haji's hands. Therefore, Baba loved the Haji, invited him for meals, and the Haji thereafter came into the masjid whenever he liked. Baba gave him at times some rupees, and thus the Haji was enrolled in Baba's darbar. Baba's control over the elements. We shall close this chapter after describing two incidents showing Baba's control over the elements. 1. Once at evening time, there was a terrible storm at Shirdi. The sky was overcast with thick black clouds. Winds began to blow with great force, clouds roared, and lightning began to flash, and rain started pouring in torrents. In a short time, the whole place was flooded. All creatures, birds, beasts, and men got terribly frightened, and they all flocked to the masjid for shelter. There are many local deities in Shirdi, but none of them came to their rescue. So they all prayed to Baba, their god, who was fond of the devotion, to intercede and quell the storm. Baba was much moved. He came out and, standing at the edge of the masjid, addressed the storm in a loud and thunderous voice. Stop! Stop your fury and be calm. In a few minutes the rain subsided, the wind ceased to blow, and the storm came to a stop. Then the moon rose in the sky, and people went back home well pleased. On another occasion at noon, the fire in the dhuni began to burn brightly. Its flames were seen to be reaching the rafters above. The people who were sitting in the masjid did not know what to do. They dared not to ask Baba to pour water or do anything to quench the flames. But Baba soon came to realize what was happening. He took up his satka and dashed it against a pillar in front, saying, "Get down, be calm." At each stroke of the satka, the flames began to slow down, and in a few minutes the dhuni became calm and normal. This is our Sai, an incarnation of God. He will bless any man who will prostrate and surrender himself to God and to Him. He who will read the stories of this chapter daily with faith and devotion will soon be free from all calamities, not only this, but always attached and devoted to Sai. He will get God vision very soon. All his desires will be fulfilled, and being ultimately desireless, he will attain the Supreme. Amen. Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all. Let's take a few seconds to absorb what we have just read, to recap it in our mind. Now we proceed with chapter 12, Saint's Mission. We have seen before that the purpose or object of divine incarnation is to protect the good and destroy the wicked. But the mission of the saints is different. To them, the good and the wicked are the same. First they draw the evildoers and set them on the right path. They are the Agasti, a renowned saint, a Hindu saint, to destroy the Bhavsagar, the ocean of worldly existence, or the sun, to destroy the darkness of ignorance. God dwells in saints. In fact, they are not different from Him. Our Sai is one of these, who incarnated for the welfare of His devotees. Supreme in knowledge and surrounded with divine aura, He loved all beings equally. He was unattached. Foes, friends, kings, paupers were all the same to Him. Hear His Leelas. For the sake of devotees, He gave His stocks of merits and was ever alert to help them. But the devotees could never approach Him unless He meant to receive them. If their appointed time did not come, they did not remember Baba, and His Leelas could not reach their ears. Then, how could they think of seeing Him? Some men desired to see Sai Baba, but they did not get any opportunity of taking his darshan till his Mahasamadhi. There are many such persons who desired for Baba's darshan, was thus not satisfied. If these persons, believing in him, listen to his Leelas, their quest for darshan will be, to a great extent, satisfied by the Leela. Even if some persons went there by sheer luck and took Baba's darshan, were they able to stay longer? No. Nobody could go there of their own accord, and nobody could stay there longer if Baba did not wish so. They could stay there so long as Baba permitted them to stay, and had to leave when asked to do so by him. So everything depended on Baba's divine will. Kaka Mahajani. Once Kaka Mahajani went to Shirdi from Mumbai. He wanted to stay there for 1 week and enjoy the Gokul Ashtami festival. As soon as he took Baba's darshan, Baba asked him, "When are you returning home?" He was rather surprised at this question, but he had to give an answer. He said that he would go home when he ordered him to do so. Then Baba said, "Go tomorrow." Baba's word was law and had to be obeyed. Kaka Mahajani therefore left Shirdi immediately. When he went to his office in Mumbai, he found his employer anxiously waiting for him. His Munim had suddenly fell ill, hence Kaka's presence was absolutely necessary. He had sent a letter to Kaka at Shirdi, which was redirected to him at Mumbai. Bhau Saab Dhumal. Now listen to another story. Once Bhau Saab Dhumal was going to Nifar for a case. On the way, he came to Shirdi, took Baba's darshan, and wanted to proceed to Nifar immediately. But Baba did not permit him to do so. He made him stay at Shirdi for a week or more. In the meanwhile, the magistrate at Nifar suffered intensely from pain in his abdomen and the case was adjourned. Mr. Dhumal was then allowed to go and attend to this case. It went on for some months and was tried by 4 magistrates. Ultimately, Mr. Dhumal won the case and his client was acquitted. Mrs. Nimonkar. Mr. Nanasaheb Nimonkar, Watandar of Nimon and honorary magistrate, was staying at Shirdi with his wife. Mr. and Mrs. Nimonkar were spending most of their time in the masjid with Baba and serving him. It so happened that their son fell ill at Belapur and the mother decided, with Baba's consent, to go to Belapur and see her son and other relatives and stay there for a few days. But Nana Sahib asked her to return the next day. The lady was in a fix and did not know what to do, but her god Sai came to help. While leaving Shirdi, she went to Baba, who was standing in front of Sathe's Wada with Mr. Nana Sahib and others, and prostrated at his feet and asked his permission to go. Baba said to her, "Go quickly, be calm and unperturbed. Stay comfortably at Belapur for 4 days, see all your relatives, and then return to Shirdi." How opportune were Baba's words. Mr. Nana Sahib's proposal was overruled by Baba's decree. Mule Shastri of Nasik. An orthodox Agnihotri Brahmin of Nasik, Mule Shastri, who had studied the 6 Shastras and was well versed in astrology, palmistry, once came to Shirdi to see Mr. Bapu Sahib Bhuti, the famous millionaire of Nagpur. After seeing him, he and others went to see Baba in the masjid. Baba bought various fruits and other things from vendors with his own money and distributed them to the people present in the masjid. Baba used to press the mango on all sides so skillfully that when Baba sucked it, he got all the pulp at once in his mouth and could throw away the seed. Plantains were peeled off by Baba and the pulp was distributed to the devotees, while the skins were retained by Baba for himself. Mule Shastri, as a palmist, went to examine Baba's palm and asked him to extend his hand. Baba ignored his request and gave 4 plantains to him. Then they all returned to the Vada and Mule Shastri bathed, wore 4 fresh clothes and started his routine duties. Then Baba, as usual, started for Lendi and said, "Take some geru, we shall today don saffron-coloured clothes." None understood what Baba meant. Then after some time, when Baba returned and preparations for the noon aarti were made, Baba Sahib Jog asked Mule Shastri whether he would accompany him. He replied that he would see Baba in the afternoon. Baba sat on his seat, was worshipped, and aarti commenced. Then Baba said, "Get me some dakshina from the new Nasik Brahmin." Booty himself went to the vada to get the dakshina, and when he gave the message to Mule Shastri, he was sorely perplexed. He thought in his mind, "I am a pure Agnihotri Brahmin. Why should I pay dakshina? Baba may be a great saint. I am not his dependent." But since a great saint like Sai Baba was asking for dakshina through a millionaire like Booty, he could not refuse. So, leaving his routine unfinished, he started with Booty for masjid. Thinking himself holy and the masjid otherwise, he remained at a distance, and joining his palms threw flowers at Baba from there. Then, lo, all of a sudden, he saw not Baba, but his late Guru Golap Swami there. He was wonderstruck. Could this be a dream? No, it was not, as he was wide awake. But how could his late Guru be there? He was speechless for some time. He pinched himself and thought again, but could not reconcile to the fact that his late Guru being in the masjid. Ultimately, leaving aside all doubt, he went up, fell at the Guru's feet, and then stood there with folded hands. Other people sang Baba's Aarti while Mule Shastri chanted loudly his Guru's name. Then, casting off all pride of caste and sacredness, he fell at his Guru's feet and closed his eyes. When he got up and opened his eyes, he saw Baba asking for dakshina. Seeing Baba's blissful form and his inconceivable power, Shastri forgot himself. He was extremely pleased. His eyes were full of tears of joy. He again saluted Baba and gave the dakshina. He said that his doubt was removed and he saw his own Guru. On seeing this wonderful Leela of Baba, all the people, including Mule Shastri, were much moved, and they realized the meaning of Baba's words. "Bring Geru, we shall don saffron-colored clothes." Such is the wonderful Leela of Baba. A doctor. Once a Mamlatdar, which is a revenue officer, came to Shirdi with a doctor friend of his. The doctor said that his deity was Ram and that he would not bow before a Mohammedan. So he was unwilling to go to Shirdi. The Mamlatdar replied that nobody would press him to bow down. So he should come and give his pleasure of his company. Accordingly, they reached Shirdi. They went to the masjid for Baba's darshan. All were wonderstruck to see the doctor going ahead and saluting Baba. They asked him how he forgot his resolve and bowed down to a Musalman. Then the doctor replied, he saw his beloved deity Ram on the seat, and he therefore prostrated himself before him. Then, as he was saying this, he again saw Sai Baba there. Being dismayed, he again said, "Is this a dream? How could he be a Mohammedan? He is a great Yoga Sampann avatar." Next day, he made a vow and began to fast. He absented himself from the masjid. He resolved not to go there until Baba blessed him. 3 days passed, and on the 4th day, a close friend of his from Khandesh turned up. With him, he went to the masjid for Baba's darshan. After the salutation, Baba asked him whether anybody had gone to call him that he had come. Hearing the vital question, the doctor was moved. The same night, he was blessed by Baba and he experienced bliss supreme in his sleep. Then he left for his town, where he remained in the same state for a fortnight. Thus, his devotion for Baba increased manyfold. The moral of all the stories mentioned above, especially that of Mule Shastri, is that we should have firm faith in our Guru and none else. More Leelas of Sai Baba will be described in the next chapter. Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all. Let us take a few moments to absorb the messages in these 2 chapters. Who are we like? Are we someone who will identify the Guru, the Sabun Brahma, when it shows up in front of us, or are we going to be full of preconceived notions, ideas, opinions, and memories, will we have the grace and the presence to know that God is Himself standing in front of us and has come to give us salvation. Let us thank God for taking these avatars again and again, for freeing us from our own delusions. Let us thank Him for all that He does that we do not even realize. With that, we close this session of the reading of the Sai Satcharitra. Jai Guruji, Om Sai Ram, Om Shanti.